Egypt has allocated $4.1 billion for its food subsidy program for the next fiscal year that begins in July. The North African nation is one of the world's biggest wheat importer and relies on importers for other basic foods and fuel. Egypt, a nation of 105 million people, is one of the world's biggest wheat importer and also relies on imports of other basic foods and fuel. Now, while details have not been revealed regarding the distribution of the new budget, the bread subsidy program cost the Egyptian government nearly $3.3 billion each year. Details of that in this report.
Neda Ahmed is a housewife shopping for groceries for her family in downtown Cairo, the capital of the North African nation. She says prices of basic commodities have over the last several months been on an upward spiral.
The government has to monitor the markets because traders are increasing prices all the time and there's little control.
Egypt has been suffering from the fallout of the Ukraine-Russian conflict as inflation rates almost hit 33% in May, more than doubling food prices during the last year.
Russia and Ukraine were the main suppliers of strategic food commodities that have affected Egypt just like in other countries. We face a conundrum since we import most of our strategic goods at a time when the current high dollar value has raised our import expenses.
The inflationary impact is particularly being felt by the majority of the 105 million people who are predominantly poor.
In response, the government had to increase its funding for food subsidies in the new budget as it tries to ease the pressure on the low-income earners.
According to the government, over half of the population benefits from food subsidies. Officials have also raised salaries and pensions for state employees and established outlets countrywide to sell products at lower than market prices.
It's good. A lot of people are happy they can afford lower prices.
But this comes at a hefty price. A subsidy of $4.1 billion in 2023-2024 fiscal year puts more pressure on the state budget, which is suffering from a widening deficit gap and hard currency shortage. Authorities have moved for a more sustainable strategy.
Egypt is trying to reduce imports of strategic food commodities like rice, sugar, oil and wheat. The country has stepped up its agricultural projects and investments. The president has this year inaugurated hundreds of thousands of acres of land where corn, wheat, cooking oil and sugar is being cultivated.
According to its 2030 food security vision, Egypt is planning to achieve an average 65% self-sufficiency in strategic food commodities by the end of the decade. Yasser Hakim for CGTN, Cairo, Egypt.